Hi, I'm Paul Brodie, back in the shop. Mitch behind the cameras. Thanks for joining us. We have new coffee mugs. It's called Milling Time. I've ordered mine. I don't have it yet, but if you want one, 18% off. Very good deal. And our project today is how to extend a stirrer tube. And I have a fork. It's wrote it down, a Control Tech Law leader. It was made in the year of 1996. It was only made for 1 year, and at that time it cost $350. Mert Lorwell was a motorcycle racer. He was a very good racer. He was AMA #1 back in probably 1970 or something like that, and he was featured on the movie On Any Sunday. If you haven't seen the movie, it's very worthwhile, highly recommended. And so he was in the motorcycle world for a long time, and then in 1996 he worked on a fork, and that's the fork that was made at Control Tech, I believe, in the USA. They've got a flag on there, so I don't believe it was made offshore or anything like that. So it's a little bit short. I need to add 1 inch on here. It's not my fork. And I'm going to show you how we do that. I've got a piece of 6061, and I'm going to make it so that it inserts, and I'm gonna glue it in. I have some it's sort of like a 2-part epoxy. It works on aluminum really well. So I'm going to show you how you do that. And well, the first thing I want to do, it's got the star nut inside. A star nut is like this. It's where the 6mm Allen screw goes through, and it holds down the cap of the headset. And I never liked these much, so what's going to happen is it's going to get incorporated into the design, and so the 6mm thread is right in the middle at the top, and the inside is hollowed out. It's got a 5-degree taper, and that inserts into the steer tube. So that's my plan. And first we have to take out the star nut. And I made up this tool. I don't know if there's a proper tool or whatever, but when you install this nut, if you don't have anything like this, it wants to go at an angle sometimes. So what this does, it locates it, and then as you're putting it in, if you line up the tool with the steerer tube, then it goes in. It's straight. It's not at an angle. So I'm going to use this tool to knock it out. I checked the ID, and the ID is the same all the way down. It doesn't have a butt down there like some do. So it's aluminum. We did an extension on a 4130 fork. That was months ago, years ago. So Mitch is going to show you some of that. So on that fork, because it's made out of 4130, I made an insert that went in. It was a little bit of a tight fit, and then I hammered on the extension part, and then I TIG welded it, and I filed it down, and I smoothed it out so that you can't really see that it's been extended. If you got a quill stem, you have to make sure that everything is down far enough that you can still insert the stem. But on this one, it's going to be in a headset, so it's a different situation. So first thing we'll do is to knock this out. We'll just put it all the way down, because you can't take it out that way. That doesn't work at all. So a little bit of hammering here. There it is, it's coming out. So if you look at this, you can see that this one is smaller. This one here is for a chromoly steer tube because the ID is larger. So if you have one of these, and if you're going to use it on an aluminum tube which has a heavier wall, you would have to use a belt sander and make this smaller. Can you see how much smaller it is? It's quite a bit smaller. So anyway, that's that. What I'm going to do now is, because it gets bonded in, I'm going to take a drill and a little mandrel that holds emery cloth, and I'm going to sand the inside so that it's smooth and the glue is going to bond better. So just grab some emery. Now, the last person that owned this or worked on this, what they did was to hacksaw this. They hacksawed off the top, so the top is not perfectly flat. Can you see how there's a little bit of, I think this is kind of the high spot. So I can't hold it in the lathe and turn the end because it doesn't really fit. But what I can do, I can either hold it in the vise and I can file and I can check, but a more accurate way is to hold it in the mill, in the vise, and use an end mill. Just go across with an end mill. So that's what I'm going to do. I got the mill set up, and it's not going to take that long. I just take off a little bit. That means that when the insert goes down there, it seats nicely. So we'll go to the mill. So I left a little bit there. Can you see that? There's a little bit left there of the hacksaw mark. In a machine shop, that's known as a witness mark. So if the customer says to you, I want you to take off the least amount when you leave a witness mark, that's your proof that you did what the customer wanted. Okay, I'm going to take off the burrs, and then we're going to work in the lathe. I think the first thing I'll do is to machine this down so that it fits into the steer tube. And then I have to get this to be a certain length. On the top, it's being extended by 0.950. So it's not a very long extension, but right now the handlebar stem does not fit. So that's a little bit of a problem. Oh yeah, that'll work, okay. So my size, .875, which is 7/8 of an inch. And then I want a little bit of space in there because the glue has to go in there. The glue is not super liquid, so I think I want, oh, there we go. That's going to work. See, there's a little bit of slop, so that's going to allow room for the glue. And I'll do a little sanding on that as well. So what I have to do now is to check the width here, because I want it to be 950. And it's 988. So I need to take off 35 thou, something like that. I'll flip this around, I'll drill a hole, and that'll be the center hole, and then I have to tap it 6 millimeters, 6 millimeter thread, 6x1. It's pretty standard metric. There we go. I'm going to use a boring bar now, and I'm going to make a little bit of a recess down there. So I think I can use this one. This will work. I flip it round now. I drill a 5/8 hole up to about there, and then I put on a taper of 5 degrees. And then I tap it, and then we install it. Just like that. So that's what it looks like inside. Can you see that? We'll go back to the bench vise. I'm going to use some 80 grit emery cloth. I'm going to sand that a little bit rougher so that the glue will bond well. And that's basically the insert done. I'm scuffing it up. Okay. Oh, look at that. Okay. I've had the glue in my pocket so it warms up, it mixes better, flows a bit better. Okay. Okay, so I put some inside and I put some on the insert, and there's going to be some that gets oozed out. And if I want to smooth it out, I use lacquer thinner. Works really well. And the glue that I'm using, it sets up in about 5 minutes, and it fully hardens in a couple hours. If you put it over a heat vent, it'll harden a little faster. So this is it. So I'll use this as my lever. I'll use a twisting motion. And you can see it squish out. Okay, grab a little bit of lacquer thinner and a rag. I think we're basically done here. If you haven't seen this movie, it is highly recommended. So, thank you for watching. Mitch and I like coffees. If you buy us coffees, it really helps a lot. Please like, subscribe, and think about a new coffee mug milling time. Take care. We'll see you next time.